I like you. Mamă, a început altul. Mamă, a început altul. De ce a început altul, bă, și nu s-a pus tot în ăla, bă, ce mă enervez, mă. Alo, alo, vă pup, bă, vă pup, s-a pus live în altul, mă. Neața, vă pup, bă, vă pup. Păcat că am început al live, că ăla... Eu l-am oprit ca să schimb titlul, că nu puteam să schimb direct de acolo. Și am schimbat titlul. Încă 4 minute, dai și noi un solo squad pe Sanhok. Până când ții live-ul? Până... Te rog, salut, mă. Te pup, salut, Antonio. Te auzi urât. Mă aud urât? Te auzi urât. Adică mă aud urât. Nu mă aud urât, mă. Cum să mă aud urât? Haideți și voi acolo cu like-uri și dacă sunteți noi să vă abonați. Mă știu enorm de mult. Mamă, am închis telefonul ăsta. Mă. Uite-o bine, e bine. Comenta și noi în seara asta pe Pmco. Poți juca cu tine? Nu joc în seara asta, am jucat adineauri. De live-ul trecut am jucat. Acum nu mai jucat, am făcut live-ul trecut 32 de kg, mi-a făcut recordul pe sezonul ăsta. Pe toate sezoanele, de fapt. După aia comentezi și noi pe Pmco. Scuze că am fost atât de mult inactiv, nu e nicio problemă, că nici nu am fost activ. Mai faci local? Nu fac local, că după aia comentez pe Pmco, că trebuie să înceapă pe Pmco. Dați și voi acolo share-ul și apăsați butonul de like. Eu sunt băiatul cu hazard.
Bulangilor!
Auzi românii, bă, să n-ai pe YouTube, bă.
Bă, bulangilor!
Mă auzi?
Cum să nu viața mea?
Ace caută Ace Royal pe YouTube.
I am 𝕊𝕋𝕍𝑆
Ace Royal, la bootcamp, baftă. Ace Royal.
Auzi, hai să gheță.
Uite și români. Salut, salut, bă, vă pup, bă, nu uitați să apăsați butonul de like și să dați și pe share-uri. Hai să facem like-ul ăsta, live-ul ăsta, forță, mai forță ca celălalt. Că celălalt, na. Ce să facem? S-a oprit, eu l-am oprit, am să schimb titlul și dacă e mai mult de 20 secunde în activitate, să pornim și altul. Și l-am pornit asta și n-am avut ce face. Bă, eu mor, mă, dacă mă duc pe triple și nu mă duc pe bootcamp, mă. Ia românașii noștri. Uitați, nu găsesc arme. Hai, mă, cică. În ce sezon joci? Sezonul 3. 2, da, 3. I like you. Îi batem sau ne bate? Să vedem. Ce bot sunt la faza asta? A venit și prin spate. M-a și prin spate. După răzău. M-a luat prin spate. De ce m-ați luat prin spate? Că nu-i frumos. Tata, facem alea! Facem alea! Ia zi-mă.
Ce faci?
Dar cu e cont la flocosă?
A?
Contra.
La asta, la... Băietul și ala. Ce faci?
Uite, ziceam să fac... sunt live acum și intru să comentez pe Pmco. Aha, nu joc, am jucat.
Bun. Ne auzim pe...
Hai, te pup.
Pa.
I like you. Să vedem în 𝕿𝑚𝑎𝑢𝕝𝑡 ceva. Nu mi-a dat nimic. Mor lent, da. Gata. Trebuie să înceapă. Într-un minut. Haideți acolo cu like-urile și cu share-urile, vă pup. Revin. Haide! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120 chip. Expliquei. Identified. La mulți ani 2021. La mulți ani.
Royce ℎ𝔸𝑚𝑐 gets the knock.
Oh, another one!
Wait, counter.
The trade! Sam with the drop shot from behind. Unsuccessful on that Jinx. Coming in for the support.
Eu țin cu Bloodline, cu Alin. Acum pentru cine mai bun câștigă.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, gamers. Welcome, you beautiful faces, back to a brand new season. I'm so happy to be here with my boy Imperium once again to kick off Pmco European region. But this time it's not Spring Split, baby. No. It's Full Split 2020. And it's going to be epic. And he's even more epic because you got the Irish epic caster man himself. And his name is Imperium. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Indeed. It is the Full Split. It's a time for these 32 teams to write their history, so to speak, set themselves up for what could possibly be future greatness across the world of Pubg Mobile esports. It's crazy, and I'm super excited.
Super excited. We're going to have like an entire month almost of action coming straight up to be able to crown which is the best team in Europe. Last season, it was 𝐿𝑑𝐼𝑎𝑟 that showed up to the party and was able to claim that #1 spot. And now we got another attempt for 2020 to have another European champion going into this region. You know, we've got a lot of teams that have been shown up to the recent scrims of Pro Youth scrims. They've been doing some really good results. A few teams. I think we have like a lot of Romanian peoples in the chat. If you're from Romania, guys, spam hype in the chat. We'd love to know. I think there's like 80% of the chat that's from Romania right now, which, you know, I'm not really surprised, Imperium. But the teams from Romania are really good.
Yeah, a lot of support for Bloodline in the chat. We can see it already. And game hasn't even started. They definitely have the backbone. But, you know, is that going to add pressure to them, right? Is that level of, well, you know, we have to justify that support? And could that affect them in game? I don't think it will, but it's still something to think about, because as we get further through the Pmco, that pressure is going to build up, and every element can be a negative effect on each team's gameplay.
Having a big following can also have, like, you know, add a lot of pressure, or it could actually help you and be like one of those forces that pushes you forwards to get some better results. So it depends how you perceive your overall community. But with that said, guys, I'm so happy. I'm sure the Imperium also so happy to have you guys joining us throughout this entire adventure of European Pmco to try and, you know, get the storylines kicking off, because then we're going to have the regional finals. We're going to be having also PMWL for the Full Split. We're going to have the Global Championship that got announced just a few days ago, which is extra hype. And I would love to see some European representation in the Global Championship.
Hell to yeah, indeed. But look, you know, I think we're kind of getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, right? Let's take a look at, you know, and let's talk about what teams that are playing today specifically. We have Groups A and Group B. They're going on to their first 4 games, and it's going to be pretty important that they get off to a right start. Yeah, of course, you can definitely turn it around if you have a bad day, but at the end of the day, you'll want to end the first day of gameplay in a strong position between the top of the standings, maybe in the middle of the pack, and just set yourself up for what could be a really good run in the Pmco.
You've got 6 days for the group stage, and after that, we're going to be getting rid of a few teams very, very quickly. So we'll have to be very careful about that one. So you've got Group A, B, C, and D. Group A and B are the 2 groups that will be kicking off today. So I think it's good to take us through all of the big teams we might be expecting a lot from. So �ＲeD_Reserve, they've got some really big history, right? They started off last season. They got picked up by �ＲeD_Reserve. And they were, I would say, one of the big surprises going into the spring split of Pmco. And now going into the full split, I want to see, have they improved now? Also, adding an extra IGL that's actually classed, has that helped them out in competitive environment? Will that be enough to try and get that #1 spot the 𝐿𝑑𝐼𝑎𝑟 claim last season? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think there's an element of, for sure, about that in the way that they can play overall as a team and how much they've improved. One thing that I would fear about �ＲeD_Reserve is that they tend to be possibly a little bit inconsistent, and that can affect them in a competition like the Pmco. So I hope that's improved somewhat coming in today's games at least. And another team I want to definitely feature is the Sirens. Look, let's get the elephant out of the room. The first female team to be competing in the Pmco from EU at least. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, it doesn't really matter, but at the end of the day, it still shows the significance of the ability across female gamers in all categories, but especially in PUBG Mobile EU. And I think it's really important for that to be highlighted, at least initially, before we get into these games.
And especially, like, you know, the science, it really feels good to have some female representation. I remember, like, one time we were casting in Berlin for the prelim finals of PUBG Mobile Spring Split 2019. There was only one girl there. That was for top esports. And it feels really good to have a full girl team. We're going to be changing subject because otherwise we're going to be called simp in the chat, and we don't want that. Now let's go over to another subject. Another team that I think deserves a lot of recognition. I think that is also another elephant in the room, so we're going to be talking about it right away. And that is Bloodline. This team from Romania has been just so goddamn good in the scrims recently. I know scrims are completely different from what you might expect coming into PMCO, but if you have some good results in the scrims, you can be like, this team, they got something special, and going into PMCO, that might make the difference.
I think realistically it's about, you know, the way I would look at it is that Bloodline in the scrims, they've shown that ability to be aggressive and calculated, but I think being too aggressive at times has been their worst trait, because they've fallen down early on in games where they probably should have been a little bit more intelligent with. So that's something that I hope they are working out for the PMCO.
Yeah, I think that, like, they do struggle a little bit in those early game fights. We saw that happen versus UDR Killers, but you know what? Hey, all good for Bloodline. UDR Killers, they're not here, baby. So you know what? Free real estate on Pachinki going into those 𝕉𝕐𝕋 games. But that's going to be one team that we talked about quite a bit, and we'll be able to have a lot more time to talk about them, because I'm sure they're going to get a few chicken dinners going their way. Another team I would like also to put a little bit of highlight on is going to be the Noisy Boys. A team that, you know, we've known the players for quite some time, Imperium, and they are a team that can get some really good results. And I think that once again, it comes down to consistency. If they can hit those consistent thresholds, I think that the Noisy Boys can be a team that can literally play around that top 3 area, as long as, once again, they are consistent.
We know what they can do. We've seen them in scrims absolutely pop off. We've seen them get that really nice balance of aggression and consistency. But they've also, I think, one thing that they need to kind of improve on is how tight they are as a unit at times, especially when it comes to the early game. I think at times they tend to lose a player on their drop spot, especially in a wrangle, because they split drop. And that's something that I'd like to see them work on. Again, it's just evolved throughout the PMCO. You got to be able to adapt in these games. That's something that we've got to think about, is that the way a team plays at the start of the PMCO, in my eyes, should be different compared to the way they play at the end of PMCO.
Yeah, like, you know, being able to split drop like that is fine, as long as you can make use of that split drop. If you split drop for really no reason other than just, like, looting, and you're not going to make really the most out of that kind of scenario. But with that said, you know, we talked about the teams, we talked about what really is going to happen, we did the introduction. So for now, you guys at home that are maybe new to watching PUBG Mobile Esports, you're like, what the hell is this? What is this Irish and French boy doing on a broadcast? What are they even talking about? Well, I'm going to explain how the rest of this broadcast is going to be going down. So already, going to go over and check out the point system. If you do take one fancy chicken dinner going your way, if it's Christmas early for you, you're going to get the chicken dinner, and that's going to be 20 points going straight into your pocket. Then 14 points for second position. Third position picks you up 10 points. And then overall, it goes down slowly but surely. In the 11th position and below is going to be only 1 point going your way, which you definitely do not want to score only 1 point Imperium, because that's not a lot of points.
No, of course not. And in most tournaments, the average points you want to be hitting in these games is going to be between 10 points plus average per game. How you get that is going to be up to you. We've seen some teams get it by securing 5 chicken dinners and then getting bad results other games. We've seen some teams getting average chicken dinners and then they're strong on the games that they don't win.
Yeah.
That's always what I would prefer to see. If a team is consistently in the top 5 across 4 games, or 3 out of 4 games are strong, that's going to make it, for me, that's going to make me watch how they play just a little bit closer.
I agree on that one, but also, you know what, I agree on Imperium. I agree on the fact that kills are also very important, because 1 kill equal 1 point, baby. 1 kill, 1 point. If you go aggressive, you're going to be rolling in gold, and the teams that play aggressively are heavily going to be rewarded going into this season.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. We all know how impactful it is. It's not just from a point of view, even though that's kind of what we're mainly focused on. It's just when you're a little bit more aggressive or controlling, they complement each other. So when you are that more aggressive, where you're able to get a couple of early kills or control that area inside the circle, you're creating that space. You're being more threatening to teams around you. Teams are less likely to want to go against you, and it fits into that mindset. A team that really complements that is the Noisy Boys. If they get on a run from an aggressive standpoint, and if they're able to really gain control, so many teams around them, they'll have to take a fight, but they might not want to, and that again will help steamroll the Noisy Boys if they get on a run.
Yeah, and we saw like so many tournaments, right, where it literally plays down to 1 point, like Gamers Without Borders, 1 point. EMWL, hey, very close. You know what? A few kills would have made also a really big difference. So at the end of the day, kills are extremely important, and so are positioning points, but do not forget about that 1 point per kill. With that said, I think right now we're slowly going to get closer to the kicking off section of our very first game of the day. It's going to be played on 𝕉𝕠𝕇. We've got 3 games after that also coming up. So the schedule for today is going to be 𝕉𝕠𝕇 for the first one, followed up with 𝕬𝕉𝕠𝕇, then Miramar, then 𝕉𝕠𝕇 once again. We're going to bookend it every single day with some 𝕉𝕠𝕇 gameplay because 𝕉𝕠𝕇, as we all know, is the superior map imperium.
It is, and I am also happy that we will have 𝕬𝕉𝕠𝕇 once again for every single game. Every single map is played twice except for 𝕉𝕠𝕇, which is played 6 times, and that's something I want to get into. But I am happy that we're getting 𝕬𝕉𝕠𝕇 out of the way early on in today's, as in the game 2, because I think it's the kind of map where it's less controlling for these teams. It's a little bit crazier. Anybody can kind of come out on top in 𝕬𝕉𝕠𝕇, so taking that out of the way, it's just going to mean we're going to be able to analyze things in the other maps a little bit better in my eyes.
Going over back to our camera overlay to see our cutie faces right there. Guys, if you want to sim for us, we're going to be opening donations very soon. But no, with that said, you know, we're going to slowly get our way into this first game. I know you guys might be like, wow, these guys are talking a lot, but it's fine because trying to introduce you guys and all to all the newbies really that are joining you know, Pubg Mobile Esports, trying to introduce this tournament as well as we possibly can. But Imperium, we talked a little bit before this broadcast, right, about what teams we might be expecting taking this entire tournament, this entire, you know, PMCO event. And I want you to maybe just put into words real quick once again. What was the team that you mentioned at, and maybe the reason why, as we have just a few more minutes to burn? Oh, come on.
Nope.
You're not going to?
No.
Fair enough.
I was the same during the PMWL. I do not have a favor. I do not have a choice. Every single one of these 32 teams are in a chance of winning. Take the spring split as an example. UDR Killers, group stage, they struggle to qualify into the semis. Semi-finals, they struggled to qualify into the finals. Finals came along, they absolutely popped off. They got first. You take Cream Esports in the spring split, dominated group stage, dominated semi-finals. Finals, they choked. Nothing against them personally, but that's the way it went down. Any one of these 32 teams have a running. You just got to take it game by game, day by day, stage by stage.
Oh, fair enough. You know, I respect that completely. We did talk a little bit beforehand. I got a few teams I think have a big chance of doing some really good results. Got Bloodline, you got Godsend, you got the Noisy Boys. Those are like 3 teams I think a lot of people are talking about going into this event. So you definitely want to keep your eyes out for them because they could be coming in clutch and taking the few chicken dinners. But as you mentioned, really good point, right? Last season, UDR Killers, the dark horse of the entirety of the PMCO split, right? And completely unexpected to take it. And what I think a lot of people would maybe criticize in this team, but after they went over to PMWL West and they took 7th position, Imperium, like that is still a really big achievement on the global international stage. So still, you know, any team, even if you think they're struggling a little bit, they might just snatch that chicken dinner and that top 1 position away at the last minute. So you know what? That's the cool thing about casting these Battle Royale games is like, literally, you never know what's going to happen. The unexpected is just so consistently around the corner. Expect the unexpected.
Exactly, and even when you take other regions within the European spectrum in play, right? We have PMCO Turkey going on, the PMCO CS as well at the same time, and even PMCO Germany. All of those teams performed really exceptionally well with Footballers and 𝕬𝕠𝕠 Power and 1st and 3rd respectively in the PMWL. That's only going to breed competition in the European region because we do see a lot of community tournaments and community scrims where those teams are facing against each other. So it's so valuable that you support the teams as well, and that you support the stream, because we want to see it grow. We want to see the region become better and better. And I think that's something that we also noticed relatively early in doing scrims preparing for the full split PMCO, is that the standard of EU gameplay has improved.
Oh, heavily. Like, especially those European grenades, though. Like, you see how, like, they are thick with double C, not CK, double C. Those grenades are looking really good, especially the Bloodline grenades. Yeah,
capital C.
Capital C's. You know what? Everything minuscule, unless it's the double C's, then you put it full caps. So that's fine. But anyways, I'm putting once again the group up in case you guys did join the stream a little bit late. What the hell were you doing? You better be nice and comfy, because you're not moving for the next 3 hours, guys. You're not moving. You're not going anywhere. But right now, we're going to have Group A going versus Group B. Group C versus Group D will be happening tomorrow. That's going to be unfolding very quickly. And we're going to have literally every single team fight up against each other for the next 6 days. And after that, 8 teams will be directly... They just go home, even though they're already playing from home because it's an online tournament. But you're going even more in home. You're going in your room. You're going in your room. That's how far back you're going.
Jesus, that's a bit harsh, man. That's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about a few of these teams in Group A and Group B, and I know that at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the teams to let their gameplay do the talking, and we will be highlighting that. We don't have too much to go on because we haven't seen any PMCO action. We've done the scrims, we've had that level of preparation, but we always know that scrims is the area where they're going to be trying new things. They might not be taking it as seriously. The mindset is always going to be different in scrims compared to competitive play. However, a couple of teams that really haven't shown up too much in scrims from our point of view is V4 and V4 and Yakuza PX. They're both playing today, so I think they're a little bit more known to us than the other teams.
Even a team like 𝕁𝑒𝑚, you know, they did show up sometimes, but not really on a consistent basis. So we got still a few teams that are like, you know, got a quick, big question mark on their head, and it might be also a strat. I think the training is also really good, but teams just don't know where the hell they're going to drop. How do they play? Are they aggressive, passive? Do they drop on the island, on the spawn island of 𝐸𝑚? We just don't know. Anyways, that's something to keep in mind. But with that said, we got the game slowly coming up. We got about 100 seconds before game 1 of full split European PMCO kicks up. I'm extremely hyped, and I can see it on Imperium's face that he's extremely hyped also. And baby, but before we do dive into the action, I want to do a quick also little shout out to an organization that's been helping a lot of the European scene grow. We talked about it, that the European standard of gameplay has heavily improved throughout the past few months. So big shout out to the Pro EU Scrim event and also staff. You got yourself Aura, you got AJ, you got Veggie, you got Go. You got so many people that have been joining. Muriel also. I forget a few names there. My apologies. I'm trying my best. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much for making all these screams possible, able to help all these teams improve their gameplay, get better and better every single day, and also allow us to pick up a few little followers along the way. But basically, thank you so much. It's been a lot of help, and yeah, these teams are just so good, especially because of the scrims.
And here's the thing, it's not much, but even kind of and I can say that, like, the kind of support and viewership on the scrims have been surprisingly good, and I think it's where the region as a whole is just kind of realizing, hey, look, we do have the strength, we have the ability, we have the teams, we just got to get behind them, and we got to show the support, whether it's scrims, whether it's tournaments. So get out there, tune into the stream, tell your mother, tell your father, tell your granny, tell your dog
Barky the dog
to the PMCO full split. Tell the frog outside, if you see a frog, say, hey, ribbit frog, tune into the PMCO EU, because it's going to be action-packed.
Yeah, I'm sure. I like we just like literally, it feels like a zoo right now. I mean, you got us two on camera, so maybe it feels a little bit more like a zoo, but that's fine. With that said, Imperium, we're still going to be going into our very first game. Ladies and gentlemen, the time we've been waiting for the past few months is finally here, and that's going to be game number 1 of European full split PMCO 2020. The plane is in the air. Where are we going, baby? Where are we going?
Love is in the air as well. Actually, no, not quite. But
I mean, we're both on stream, Imperium. You know what? Who knows what happens after the stream ends? Who knows?
I ship you. Indeed. So plane path going from the west to the east, a little bit more north. So it's going to be pretty easy for the likes of Red Reserve. Going to be able to go to North George.
Yeah.
All good. In the hood, Omega Dragon is going to be shifting down west along with the Noisy Boys as well. So that split drop How is it going to handle for the Noisy Boys?
Bloodline nu sorry.
Other than that, I think it's going to be standard stuff as well. For teams
Bloodline.
heading towards 𝕊𝑆 with time to shine going down south.
Yeah, but 𝕊𝕊𝕋𝕋 maybe not the most happy with this kind of playing path because they like to play towards military base quite a bit, so it's going to be a little bit far for them. But you know what? We talked about it. The strength of a lot of these teams is to have a secondary drop location. Teams like the Kingside Games, for example, have been starting to do that now, dropping in Yasnai Polyana and also Mill to Power altogether. So definitely a secondary drop, if you use it properly, can give you a really big point of advantage. But Imperium, once again, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, on all social medias. If you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, I don't know if we're live on Facebook. I think we're live on Facebook, and also YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us today. And with that said, let's kick off the hostilities with game number 1 on good old fancy Erangel.
And you touch upon 𝕊𝕋𝕋. They have chosen to drop a little bit close towards the George Paul area. The phase 1 circle has complemented the playing path to a heavy extent. It's kind of what I was talking about with the side of the Noisy Boys, right? Having that split drop. However, they are a little bit closer together, which means they're going to be able to handle likes of V4 who are close by.
Yeah, they're going to have 𝕊𝕊𝕍 moving out. 𝕊𝕊𝕍, a player that we haven't really seen, too much play with the Noisy Boys, so a really nice late addition. He's going to be the dark horse of this team as player 99. Unfortunately, a little bit caught out in the open for V4. 𝕊𝕊𝕍 slowly coming around with mask off. Also, an off angle from the rest of his team would be really of great help if they could join up the party right now. He's going to be taking a fight 1v2, but unfortunately, he's very shortly lived. 𝕊𝕊𝕍 with the M16 puts an end to his life, and that's the very first kill of Pmco full split going over to the Noisy Boys.
Ooh, V4 again. One of the teams that we haven't really seen too much in scrims. They are a team that are mainly French, but they have a couple of players who are from Turkey. Player 99 who did go down is one of the French players. We'll have to see if they have the, the 𝕊𝕋𝕋 to carry on as a three-man team like that.
I don't know why, 𝕊𝕊𝕋𝕋 is something that people know from French. It's so specific as a sentence. I don't know why.
It's just like,
It's like 𝑑éjà vu. It's so specific. I'm like, why?
It's,
The croissant, I get it. You know what? I get it for the memes, for the giggles. I understand it. But 𝕊𝕊𝕋𝕋, you know what? This time around, they went for the area of crates in George Pole. The teams that are really in lobby A and B this time around, there's not too many teams like to drop in southern George Pole, so that's going to be free real estate for 𝕊𝕊𝕋𝕋, which I think that, it's a pretty good makeup drop location if you don't get your main one that is military based under control. This one has also a really significant amount of loot.
It does. When you are talking about not so much loot, but areas to control in phase 1, you're going to be looking at 𝑬𝑟est as a really core area to at least get that early information on where other teams are. Of course, we all know holding on to 𝑬𝑟est max is quite difficult because it's spread out so teams can breach you from either side. But at least before you rotate on the phase 2 shift, getting a little bit of information is going to be very valuable.
Over on the eastern coastline, you got a little bit of scouting from GSG Europe and Team Dope. We talked about it, right? GSG Europe, a team that we haven't seen whatsoever going into the Pro E scrim. So this is definitely a dark horse going into this one. We do not have too much information. At least I would say no information except for their name that has Europe in it. So it does mean they are a European team. But they're just going to be, split dropping a little bit on the eastern edge, getting that loot up, getting back into the car rotation. And this is how you want to do it most of the time, right, Imperium? If you want to split drop, that's fine. As long as you're able to regroup back together really quickly in the early stage, is fine.
And you're dead right. However, what is underrated a little bit is when you do rotate away as a group, you got to make in separate vehicles. You got to make sure you're close together. If you're not close together on your rotation, it's going to be a lot easier for teams to pick you off. So we do see teams are starting to rotate up, Red Reserve getting that 𝑬𝑟est area a little bit under control to get that sideline. I would definitely recommend stay there for about 30 seconds, then move down to one of those compounds south of 𝑬𝑟est. It's going to be a lot more valuable. But the teams coming in from the east, like Yakuza, Inside Games, Time to Shine, it is right now pretty free for them to move in. But of course, they are coming in from the outside circle, which means they are going to have a limited amount of information.
I did talk with Klaus of Red Reserve a few days ago, and he did really talk about how much they put a big focus on players' high ground position. So that's what they're going to be going for once again. But as you said, right, I think it's good for them to just scout, get the information, go down, maybe even keep one scout on 𝑬𝑟est itself, and then move the entire team down below, because you never know, the circle could be going towards 𝑬𝑟est. It's something that could happen down the line.
You could even do the other way around. keep 3 in 𝑬𝑺 and send 1 down a little bit.
Some kind of split. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a few options in play, and I do like the rotation from Sirens. If you remember in scrims, right, coming down from Severny, they would tend to go a little bit too deep towards a compound by the river and possibly get caught out, whereas they're choosing to go in through the east side of Ruins, which is overall a lot safer and is going to give them a better time frame, especially because Lack and Oster, who like to land in Roshawk, are not playing in today's game, so they know the area is quite free for them to move into the circle with.
Time to shine, getting pretty close to Pachinki and Headshot Valley, as Blank and John like to call it. We've got a bunch of other names, but we're going to stick with Headshot Valley because I think it's a pretty good name for this area, because you do get Headshot in this area quite a bit. As Time to Shine, they scouted the area on the west of Headshot Valley. It's free real estate. They're going to take control of that position. It's pretty good seeing how the circle did go over to the western side, and all the teams that did drop on the east, they're going to have to go for that rotation, but because the playing path was actually very focused up north, it's not going to hurt too many teams in this lobby.
Red Reserve doing what I suggested.
They send the entire team,
a bit of scouting on 𝑬𝑺, then sending the whole team down. It's so valuable because not only are you preparing a bit better for Phase 2, you're securing that key compound. You are protecting yourself by 4 walls of the building. And that's the kind of small compound that has 3 or 4 buildings where you're able to spread yourselves out. Should you get somewhat engaged upon via grenades, you're able to dodge them somewhat.
Yeah, I'm talking about grenades like these European grenades. We talked about it in the intro, right? Like, European grenades have heavily improved as time goes by, so really happy to see these European teams putting that focus now on utility. I think in Spring Split, that's maybe something that was lacking quite a bit. These teams playing that utility, playing around smokes, flashbangs, maybe all that much, but like, we've seen so many molly plays in the scrims, right? Molotov plays left, right, and center, and the Molotovs, if you use it so well, it's such a good tool to deny pushes if you use it properly, of course.
It's underrated a little bit, but it requires a bit more precision. So you have to think about it a bit more, and then, but when you're in the heat of the moment, you're not really thinking so much. So therefore, there's a, you know, you can't really use the time, so you're better off just chucking an actual grenade. We see Max, the Noisy Boys in V4 flashing up once again on these similar rotations. Yeah,
but V4, you know, they lost a player earlier to the Noisy Boys. The Noisy Boys, they're in hunt mode. They're just chasing down their prey. They got a little wind of they smell the blood. They're like, this is a team we killed the player earlier. We're going to try and finish them. But you know what? They're like, okay, we're going to play the passive approach. Noisy Boys, they're just going to have a pretty good compound under control up north of the plateau area. As V4, now they've got to aim for another area. Where might they go?
But here's the thing, you know, they are heading across the south coastline, so they might stop around Ferry Pier area. But here's the thing, rotating so late into the blue zone closing in Phase 1 is just as risky as being in the same compound as another team, because you don't really know, and other teams could be rotating close by. It can nearly always be the case of the devil you know rather than the devil you don't know in the world of PUBG Mobile, because timing of rotations is always going to be so much more valuable.
In the circle coming out on Phase 2 did go down south. You know what? At least the river is not going to come into play, so the hard rotations up north should not be unfolding this time around. And Atlantis Cycle, pretty decent position up north of Gatka. But really, I love where the Noisy Boys are set up right now. It's a really nice spot to play with. There's a little bit of high ground position under play also. Sirens also got a decent spot, but I'm surprised that no one yet has gone for Pachinki Hill. You got so much visibility in the center of the circle itself. I think that Inside Games or GSG Europe could aim for that location.
And I was thinking for Omega Dragons to shift a bit more to the east, which kind of what they're doing, but Red Reserve have reacted a bit quicker. We could see a bit of an early fight between those two teams. Team 𝕂, who did stop by the compound by the river on the north, took their time. They're now coming in via ruins, which I think is pretty good, but they are getting close to Bloodline. There is still that little bit of space on that hill to the north of V4, which could be held onto by either Inside Games or GSG Europe as well, Max. So there's still quite a few areas in play, even though teams are quite heavily inside the circle.
Accuser PX slowly going to be coming on by. They had a bit of information on Time to Shine, for example. Sirens are going to be holding on to that location down below. But Time to Shine, they're on the move once more, trying to aim for a better compound to hold on to. And things are going to be nice and dandy. But right now, this is still the early stage, right? You're not expecting too much to happen. So far, only 1 kill happened in this game going over to the Noisy Boys. But Atlantis Cycle, they found a pretty decent position as Time to Shine might try and contest it. They got high ground position on the plateau. They can take a few shots down below. But really, it shouldn't result in a big breach happening very soon.
It's funny because, you know, when you talked about the one player going down, it's actually in the compound that Atlantis Cycle have rotated too, so it's just kind of ironic and coincidental as it happens. Time to Shine being on top of the hill, it's a great area, but because it's out in the open, if the circle obviously closes in around them, they could be under a lot of pressure by teams moving in closer on that 360-degree angle. And, you know, you talked about the early game being quite passive. I'm expecting that from pretty much the whole of day one, or at least until the last game of the day. Teams are going to be feeling themselves out in this competitive setting, even though they might have played against each other quite heavily in scrims.
Team Dope on the move. 𝕁𝑆 is going to be leading the pack of Team Dope, going towards potentially Bloodline. They got an initial knockdown down. I believe that was 𝕊𝙗𝙗 and the kill feed earlier. Allen going to go for the res up. That'll be happening very quickly. The Team Dope, they're going for a very aggressive breach that I don't think was really initially needed all that heavily. You know what? Seem like they are thirsty for kills. Grenade going to be coming on by. Very close to 𝕁𝑆, but luckily enough for him, that one will bounce right off that little cliffside.
They got a knock onto a member of Bloodline, but the revive has been executed. They both have little peaks that they can move and shoot from. That's pretty good. But what I really like from Team Dope is that they have that 2-2 split. So you have the off angle from Tudor and Harb, which is going to be able to provide that level of back support.
The early shots coming on through seem like Team Dope might not be fully ready to commit to this one. They know the Bloodline are going to be defending this one really well. I like the fact that they kept 𝕁𝑆 very close to the compound to make sure they can then send the entire team away. And that's it, that's Team Dope out for... Oh, 𝕁𝑆 jumping onto a rock right there very early on. They seem like they want to play towards the 𝑬𝑺 area, which I think is very intriguing in this situation. I think that's the location where you're allowing yourself to take heavy damage from Bloodline.
But here's the thing. I think that was a little bit of a bait. Because we saw the members of Team Dope shooting up towards Bloodline, not necessarily wanting to get a knock, but either way trying to create that space. We're talking about space. Phase 3, the space has shrunk. It's gone down south. Quarry's in play, but Quarry's always a very tricky area to hold on to. There's really limited strong areas where you can rotate to, and I'm talking about the north and the south side. Don't really want to be on the east or the west.
It's like a Miramar La Bandita, but with no compounds in between. That's how it is you can compare it to. So basically, you just can't go down below. If you do, you're going to be dead meat. But definitely, it would be interesting to see if we might just get ourselves a Quarry finish for the very first game of the day. As X Team, also a team that's been coming around quite a bit, getting some pretty consistent results going into the European scrims overall. And coming into this tournament, I think they might be the favorite of a few viewers at home. So definitely do support them in the chat if you are a fan of X Team, because they're a team that they know how to hurt other squads around them. But the Noisy Boys and Red Reserve, they're going to be having a very early clash. It's nice mini 14 shots from 𝑏𝑒𝑔 for Mercy. Shall connect towards 𝑬𝑺.
Nice mini 14 shots, quick to the point, and nearly took down a member of TSC. It's risky being on 𝑬𝑺, but at least are getting information, and it has paid off. His zombie is going to get knocked to the ground, but the thing is, because TSC are so far away, are they really going to be able to react to this?
I don't think so. I think that right now also someone got knocked down, but X Team were easily able to pull off the res. It's phase 3. Now it's starting to be the time where maybe you don't want to overstep your welcome too long out of the circle, so that's fine. TSC going to be on 𝑬𝑺 himself. Really good for scouting early on right now, but I think they might be just cruising a little bit too quickly from that location. Use it for like even just 10 seconds. Look where teams are, then go downhill, but seem like they're going to go downhill without too much information going their way. Well, I'm happy to see. I just realized that we got Antho for TSC here. Ooh, he's a player that you want to keep an eye out for.
No, I think TSC played it really well. But yeah, they might have hung around 𝑬𝑺 for a little bit too long, but getting that knockdown on the zombie, it wasn't the fact that they wanted to react for, but it created a space where it pushed X Team back, so it meant it was going to be easier and freer for them to rotate towards the circle. It's still not going to be easy, because they don't really have that much information.
Information for 𝐵𝑚𝑖Loot has been taken, though. Taking a little bit of an open fight in the plateau area versus V4. V4, unfortunately, they lost another player earlier with this Piranha. So Piranha, player 99, both taken down over the equation. Marshall and Cruel are going to be there remaining. But 𝐵𝑚𝑖Loot got a pretty decent position, but now they're a little bit more on the edge of the circle down south. Means that they're going to have to go through a plateau area, through a road, through a forest, also just very flat. Their rotation, they need to try and gather information to make that rotation just a little bit smoother for themselves.
But I think they are. The only thing is that there is a team in front of them, so I think if they get a knockdown, they will want to really react on that before the next phase pops up. And talking about the next phase, phase 4 are going to be on our screens in a matter of seconds. Where is it going to go? I think it's shifted over to the northeast with Time to Shine dead center. But there's that beautiful, huge compound area that is to the west side of the circle, and even a nice compound to the south of Time to Shine, which is valuable.
Oh, TSC getting destroyed, engaged by Team 𝕂𝑝. They're just surrounding them so damn well. Team 𝕂𝑝 pick up the kills, and that's going to be 3 extra points going their way. Team 𝕂𝑝 eliminating the first squad of European Pmco for this full split. Well executed, really good synergy, but in a risky spot, so you want to move away from here as soon as you possibly can.
It was that blanket. We didn't see a lot of how that engage happened, but I think it was off the back of TSC having limited information. It was really nicely reacted by the side of Team 𝕂𝑝. However, onto this compound, Bloodline are under pressure as the Atlantis cycle are going to be wanting to protect their compound. It's inside the circle on the north. There are quite a few teams around them. They could get third party by Time to Shine.
Yeah, that could be something coming into play if they want to just go downhill. That'll be good. But Time to Shine really got a more central position. So I think that here you can take some shots from a distance, but fully breaching it, I think might be a little bit too much and overwhelming. We've got to say, Atlantis Cycle been holding on to this area for so long. That means that Bloodline were able to get close through a field area with a full team. That is something that's already recommendable on its own. But Bloodline, a big blanket of smokes, grenades will still be chucked on over. That looks like a really good grenade coming over from their side. Unfortunately, not making it over to the shack of Burian. And now slowly kind of coming on through. But X-Team and 𝕊𝑝 slowly going to be popping up into the kill feed. It seems like 𝕊𝑝 already struggling in that engagement.
He had a couple of players knocked down. No squad eliminated, other than, of course, what we saw in TSC. Yakuza onto Mega Dragons as well. But in amongst the smokes, Nurofen is waiting out behind the wall, waiting to gather as much information as possible. With 3 teams, like I said, this core compound on the west side has 3 teams in it. So nice triple fight going on, Max. Who is going to come out on top?
First third-man party of Pmco Europe, question mark, thinking emoji, maybe happening right now. Romanian squad, 2-2 split, unfortunately really struggling. Rambo left behind, Nate chucked on over from Killer, really trying to get control of this area, because this is a really good compound to hold on to. Whoever wins this is going to be in a pretty good spot to take this first chicken dinner.
Romanian squad.
And Max, there's even a 4-man party, because you have Red Reserve on that hill to the west of that compound, so it's really going to be interesting. But Rambo has been dropped by a grenade, followed by Burian. So we talk about the EU grenade power. It's definitely working out.
European nades are good. Do not quite that, because if someone fails it, I'll feel really bad. But oh my god, you know what? I do not take that one back. Elusive taking a grenade onto Frost of Red Reserve, and that's going to be Red Reserve, I believe, out of the lobby because of that elusive grenade. Great stuff from them. Later, Red Reserve into game number 2. But now Romanian squad, they're the team in the big point of pressure. And back over, we've got picture coming on through. Still the fight happening. And no one is quite ready to engage it so far because they're waiting to see where the circle just might go. Burian, so many grenade knocks happening right now. What's damn, we said it before. I mean, we called it. European grenades are good now, but 𝕂𝑝 is going to be slowly pushing over towards Romanian squad. They want to get a little bit more control on this western compound. They're pushing down very slowly. Here it is, the breach happening down south. That's going to be Bloodline trying to take the offensive fight. They pick up a few frags along the way, and Bloodline shall secure this northern compound. They win the fight. They pick up all the kills. Great stuff indeed for them.
Man, this is really starting to get good. It's starting to get spicy as the next phase goes back up north. And this is what I talked about with Time to Shine, right? They are out in the open on top of the hill. They have the high ground. They've been gathering a lot of information, but I feel like they might want to get into a bit of a slightly safer position as a full squad to prepare for any potential onslaught coming through. The only thing they have in their favor is that there's a lot of teams outside the circle, to the west notably, that are fighting against each other, so they might be able to clean things up, Max.
Slobozul, Moskov with the DP28 coming into play. I mean, this is like a DP28 meta right now. If you have that one in hand, it's deadly if you use it properly, of course. Sloboz knocked down, going to get slowly fueled up. They did lose, unfortunately, Harb a few minutes earlier, so very unfortunate for them, making it a little bit harder to hold on to this position, even though I'm pretty sure they won't. They want to move away because the circle and more over to the center northern side. That's going to be potentially also forcing Noisy Boys into the open loving arms of Team 𝕂𝑝. But Romanian squad, they might be preying on a third party happening right here.
Team 𝕂𝑝 4 kills so far off the back of a squad. Romanian squad just outside. Of course, these are 2 Romanian teams. And they're used to battling up against each other. Then you have V4 joining in on the fun as the Noisy Boys still up as a full squad. So I talk about if the Noisy Boys can stay together as a full squad in the early parts, coming into the late game, they can really really get the damage
Mă aud
done.
încet, știu, dar grijit, mă aud.
Romanian squad, they want to leave, which I think is definitely the smarter approach. Did leave one player behind just to make sure, so you know what, that's completely A-okay, maybe as to serve as some kind of insurance, and they're going to aim for the more northern edge as 𝕿𝑝. He lost Crawl earlier for V4, and now he's going to try and hold on to the field area, but so many teams have an angle on him. I think that's going to be the end of V4 right now. I don't know if we're going to see him into the kill feed. Wait, does he make it out alive? No way. Oh, Jesus Christ. So many teams are shooting at him. Or maybe I talked too soon. You know what? He's down to about 1 or 2 bullet shots, and that's game over. He loses a wheel right next to Bloodline, able to get prone in time. But you got to explode that car yourself. 𝕁𝑐𝑎℠𝑎℠'s going to have the perfect angle, and Bloodline claiming lives. Already up to 7 kills on phase 5. Jesus Christ. Stop this team.
Yeah, they've been really popping off against 𝕁𝑚𝑖𝑙𝑒𝑡 as well along the way. And I want to see, and I want to point out that on the feed, we've really seen Time to Shine make their position pay off. They've been able to
Dacă
take
vorbesc
down
așa, mă aud bine
members
sau?
of Omega Dragons, a couple of members of GSG, and that's what I want to see from them, right? You got to create that space. It's a huge element coming into phase 6, 7, of course, phase 8, as the game will close out. 9 teams left, 31 players max. No team is inside the center of the circle. They're all along the
Vorbește așa,
edge.
ok.
Yeah, on the edge because Ren has a high ground position in the center.
nimeni
Not
nu-i
really a
în
good high
mijloc.
ground kind of position. It's a plateau, making it even if you're on the tippity top of the mountain, all the other teams down below should be
Bloodline,
able
eu
to
zic că
find
o să
a few
piceze
nice
zona
easy
pe ei.
angle shots on you, and you don't want like all the teams remaining in the lobby just shooting at you from down below. That's pretty risky. Pretty hard shift compared to where the teams are pretty good for inside games. They should be able to take control really quickly, but also same for Time to Shine and Bloodline. And which will be the first team to try and strike and take that position first.
I think Bloodline will have a great position if they go across the road really quickly and actually engage upon inside games. You want to take them out because they're going to have a core position on the north side of this circle.
Boysy boys, they got a little bit of room around them. You know what? Easy to pull off the res onto Whiskey. That should be fine for them, but 𝑦𝑎𝑘𝑢𝑧a, PX, unfortunately, down below. They might be the team in a very threatened position. Now Time to Shine, they got 𝐻𝑝 behind them, trying to hold on to the angles. They're going to have to force their way through. The Bloodline, I talked about it, a team that could potentially take control first. They send a scout forward. Bloodline really looking dominant and controlling this game, which is the Bloodline I love to see.
Inside games,
îmi place că se vadă
Bloodline.
La ură Burean pe Tudor. Bloodline.
It's going to be sensational with that grenade onto Aaron.
Bloodline a aruncat în aer dopul.
Indeed.
Get out of the way.
We had to do it eventually, guys. We did it on day 1 like that. You won't hear about it anymore. Or will you? Question mark? Thinking emoji? We'll have to see.
Okay,
the X team,
no, you've done that twice.
I've done that twice, but I'm going to do it again, Imperium. I don't care. I find it funny. But yeah, 𝑦𝑎𝑘𝑢𝑧a, Luco, and 𝑦𝑢𝑧i coming on down. 𝑦𝑢𝑧i, my favorite player because he's called 𝑦𝑢𝑧i after my favorite weapon. 𝑦𝑢𝑧i Red Dot is the best weapon in the game. Changed my mind. The Luco coming around right next. The X team as they keep a good old foothold on that high ground position. Sorry, the Noisy Boys. I mean, they're trying to hold on down. The car explodes, putting some heavy damage down onto Luco. 𝑦𝑢𝑧i holding onto the backside, but now the circle is moving against them. The Blue Zone's going to be upon their position very soon. The time is now ticking for 𝑦𝑎𝑘𝑢𝑧a as 𝑦𝑢𝑧i gets taken down first, and Luco should be the next one to follow suit. He's going to run away. Going to make it inside the building. He doesn't get shot at. Really surprising. And he makes it over to the building, but now Ryan into the Blue Zone. Sprayed down by Whiskey. That's going to be a double knock happening for the Noisy Boys.
Great response from the Noisy Boys. I thought they were maybe being a little bit too passive after getting that revive onto 𝐴𝑠𝑐𝑜p. Whiskey popped up, created that mixer, got that double knockdown. Time to Shine, throwing a grenade towards 𝑦𝑎𝑘𝑢𝑧a. Will that be a Kobe? Indeed.
Yeah.
It is indeed, and 𝑦𝑢𝑧i goes down, leaving Luco left standing.
They know that was a knock and then into a flush. They must know that one player of 𝑦𝑎𝑘𝑢𝑧a PX must still be remaining behind, so they've got to keep their eyes pried open just to make sure they don't get preyed upon and snicked upon by Luco. But as I say, that's getting very close. And Time to Shine are pretty close to each other. One grenade could easily get a double knockdown if he makes pretty good use of that utility. Still got 7 teams still in play. X team inside game's got that position with the northern side held by Bloodline. Not too many teams around them. Bloodline might be the one taking his very first chicken dinner, but here it is, Luco waking up from his deep slumber, but it's going to be very shortly lived. Good night, sweet prince. That's the end for this team out in 7th position, but now Time to Shine, changing their focus over to the Noisy Boys, taking on 𝐻𝑘2. Great spray coming out from Daddy. 𝕬𝑥 trying his best to hold on to that position. I think he just got spotted right there, and I think the Noisy Boys might just get eliminated right now. As he's under pressure, and that is indeed the case. The Noisy Boys out in 6th position.
Oh, Daddy! Oh! Time to Shine! 11 kills so far, hitting double digits. Of course, they lost 𝕨𝑖𝑎. Will's getting knocked down, but there is still 𝐻𝑝 and Daddy left standing. One member of X team moving on up. You do have this side of Bloodline are firmly inside the circle on the north side, waiting for the rest of the teams to get closer.
seem like the kills are very top heavy, you know, compared to Time to Shine and also Bloodline. They'll do really good. But 𝕊𝕋𝕋 trying to get the nades down will be a casualty. Daddy trying to go for the res, but 𝐴, you've got to be careful. He's got a little sneaky off angle behind that little dip down below. 𝕊𝕋𝕋 is an easy pickup as the nade comes on through from 𝐴. I mentioned it. He's going to be the big threat to that position. X team are out in fifth, and now 4 teams are still remaining. Going to have Time to Shine. Inside games still going to have also in Bloodline up in the northern edge. As 𝐴 tries to go for the random smoke sprays onto 𝕍𝕊 and Backfire. Unfortunately, those are really hard to connect on. Those cars are really good protection over for them. And now, really, this circle has been taken over pretty well by one team specifically over to the western edge. But the 𝐴 still coming on through. 𝕍𝕊 going to be doing some work with Backfire onto 𝐴. Daddy and 𝐴 still remaining for Time to Shine. He's trying to hide into that angle behind the smoke, trying to buy as much time as possible. But this is going to be a really hard position for Time to Shine to work with.
You don't use vehicles at this late stage of the game, Will, unless you are absolutely certain that you are safe. We see both teams are spraying the shots left, right, and center, trying to create that space. But Backfire and 𝕍𝕊 doing a great job suppressing with 𝐴 on the back line by the side of that crate. Yet to confirm, they have indeed confirmed that kill onto Will, leaving 𝐴 and Daddy left standing.
Bloodline just popping into the kill feed versus Team Dope. Team Dope, they're more playing down the southwestern edge, but Bloodline, they're just on their own up north. No one is denying that position compared to all the teams fighting each other. Literally, Bloodline are just preying on these kills and stealing the action for themselves. Bloodline got to praise what they are doing. Sans finds a nice juicy headshot onto Nurofen off Bloodline, so you know what, they're still putting her out, but 𝕍𝕊 at the smokes are slowly wearing off Imperium. Inside games, they're feeling the damage, they're feeling the hurt. Time to Shine, they're shining through on this first game of the day. Backfire peeks up, trying to get that damage on through.
𝐴 push it, take advantage, try and gain control, go for a risk, could come out with a reward. Yeah, of course the revive is coming through. Gotta say, credit to Time to Shine. They're hovering across the edge of this circle so valiantly. There is still one member left of Team Dope. That's 𝑵𝑧𝑖 up. Out of sight, out of mind for now.
I haven't seen Bloodline use too many smokes, maybe because it was off camera, but I don't think they have. So you know what, if they still got a lot of smokes, that could allow them to hold on so down onto the northern edge of the circle. Inside games now seem like they're going to be snaking their way towards Time to Shine. Time to Shine down to only one player. Daddy's going to be confirmed out of the lobby. 𝑵𝑧𝑖 is going to be sought after by 𝕬𝕗𝕬𝕗. The spray comes on through. Car is fuming. Can he make it explode? We'll have to see. But 𝐴 sprayed down by the Uzi of 𝕍𝕊. That's going to be 4th position for Time to Shine. Still got to be having to say Imperium that they got a really good first game for Pmco European split.
Yeah, definitely a good way to kick off their journey in this Pmco full split. But 3 teams left standing. Inside games, Bloodline and Team Dope. 𝑵𝑧𝑖 just waiting out. We saw inside games have 1 player left in these scrims and get a fantastic chicken dinner. Could Team Dope pull off the same with 𝑵𝑧𝑖 behind this burnt out buggy?
No, what 𝑵𝑧𝑖 can do, he can clutch it, no problem, as long as you just don't put your focus onto him. But inside games, pushing a little bit deep, it will be turning into a pretty nice even fight. But Bloodline having 2-3 members now knocked away. Bloodline losing Allen at the last second. 𝕍𝕊 doing the work for inside games. Bloodline will be taking 3rd position, but now it's a 1v1 Imperium. It's 𝕍𝕊 versus 𝑵𝑧𝑖. Will Team Dope be able to steal this very first chicken dinner away? Will 𝐴 be the first win of the day? He's got to confirm all the kills, 7 kills so far. Got Team Dope, so he's looking strong, looking for the angle. He finds Sans, kill confirmed, up to 8 so far. They're looking for double digits. As 𝕍𝕊 gets up, he has the information, goes for the spray with the iron sight on the M4, and that's going to be inside games, picking up the very first chicken dinner of the full split.
Nicely done by inside games. 10 kills, first place, 30 points in total, and then you have Team Dope coming in second, surviving until the end, getting 8 kills. That is a pretty good start indeed. And then Bloodline controlling, getting 10 kills as well. Man, you pointed out, top heavy, good stuff.
Very, very top heavy right there. 9 kills for inside, 10 kills for inside games. 9, wait, no, actually, I can't count Imperium. I'm having really a lot of trouble over here. 8 kills going over to Team Dope. Bloodline picking up also 10 kills going their way. Yeah, top heavy. That's the perfect definition of this game. But I got to say, this circle was not really fun to play with. It did end up being a very good, snake smoke base finish. But I got to say, time those engages pretty well, especially 𝑵𝑧𝑖 from Team Dope.
I think what really was different about this kind of circle is that we don't normally see it in this area. So I don't really think it was that bad of a circle to deal with. There was compounds up until like phase 5, phase 6, right? Yeah. So there really was, a few areas to play around. There was a great mix of high ground and low ground, even though it was generally out in the open. And I think most teams dealt with it very valiantly.
I think that definitely we had a really good response for this first game. It shows that, and for the entirety of this month for PMCO Europe, like EU, the action is going to be intense for sure. I think really what did cause the demise of Bloodline, they would chill on the northern edge, right, for so damn long because they were behind the slope and all the teams were just having so many angles on each other, down south, on the east, on the west, in the center also, and they were just chilling. But once their position was out of the circle and they had to push over the ledge, the remaining players and teams were going to have the easiest time of their lives to just pick the heads one by one. That's what happened. They got pushed by the blue zone, and that's why Bloodline did go down. But with that said, back over to our cutie faces right here. As yeah, Imperium, that's our first game. First chicken dinner picked up, and really good stuff coming out from Inside Games.
Man, I just love it. We've kicked things off, and I think it complements the fact that we saw a relatively fast early game. We saw teams rotating overall quite intelligently towards the center part of these servers.
Bă, ce moftic, bă, că n-a luat Alin, bă, că ce e măcar cea mai bună echipă, ești nebun. Lăsase toți nocai lui și după aia a murit și el. Accept cereri, nu accept cereri. Pe 5 euro. Accept cereri de prietenie, așa, nu. Că am și eu 53 de prieteni în listă. Lasă că vedeți voi sezonul viitor, să vedeți pe băiatul cum joacă la Cruce Ninja, adică eu am echipă de fapt. Să vedeți cum joacă, mai trebuie un băiat pe în echipă, vedem. Dar vreau să iau unul care are 18 ani ca să pot să mă bag cu el. Că nu vreau să iau unul de 13, 14, 11 ani care e mic, că după aceea să dea datele la măsă, taxa. Haideți acolo și voi cu like-urile la forță. Hai că să sărim mâine. De unde și că câștigi? La ce echipă am? De ce am 300 MS-uri, mă? Ce paralizat sunt dacă n-am mai jucat. Dar nu înțeleg, bă, că trag în el și nu moare. Du-te, dracu, să te ia, că joc pe spate, nu joc eu pe bortă. Salut, salut. Nu poți face clipuri pe YouTube. Ia să nu stăteam. Băi, și vreau să câștige echipa lui Alin. Că ei sunt cei mai buni. Mamă, eu la Pmco dacă joc, eu vreau să ajung decât în cum îi zice, în ultima zonă. Atunci îmi place mie, în ultima zonă, că e bătaia. Până în ultima zonă trebuie să te lutești, trebuie să te rătești, trebuie să iei informații de la zonă. E greu. Dar în ultima zonă parcă e altfel, mă, că trebuie să stai cu corpul jumate în zonă, cu jumate în afară. Uite-te, mă, mâncați și. Ce, mă, lagul ăsta 100 de MS-uri? Ce dracu se întâmplă? Bă, 160 de MS-uri, mă. Ce bă lagul ăsta, mă? E lag de net. Deci eu am lag de la net. El începe să se audă proșii lag. Nu știu cu aia. Ai. Și așa nu-l mai țin. Mai fac meci să-și pe aia, gata, mă opresc. Că nu mai chef. Și pun la morții tăi, că-ți fac prefer la cap. Hai mă, vă pup, noapte bună. Hai că mă bași la somn, că nu mai pot, sunt obosit. De-aia nu mai pot să jur nici bine. Nu știu dacă ne vedem mâine, vedem. Vă pup.